Habits are really hard to change, aren't they? Like, if I want to start eating better, or maybe lose a few pounds, is it better to just go cold turkey and cut out everything from my diet all at one time? Or is it better to take a different approach? Which one really works and has more lasting results? Hi, I'm Amy. I'm a working mom and wife just trying to live as naturally as I can, the best way that I can figure out how to do it every single day. In today's Tune In Tuesday, let's talk about habits and which way really works best when it comes to things like improving them for your health. So now I'm going to admit that I have tried many things to change my habits when it comes to improving my health. Things like working out more consistently, eating better, you get it, right? I'm sure you have too, but wow, habits are sure hard to break or even change. From all the ways that I have tried and sometimes succeeded, I don't know if there truly is one way better than the other, but what I have definitely picked up is some tips to know what works best for me, and I'm going to share them with you today, okay? So when I think about my habits, I really struggled with how to do this, right? So, and there's different ways that work for different people. So if you have other ways that work for you, just leave them in the comments so we can learn from each other. So I have done the cold turkey before, and it can work, but boy, is it very hard to maintain, especially in the beginning, right? Because your body is just like, hey, what happened to all this stuff I was used to? And once I got over that initial breakup and started leaning into the new way, yeah, it got a little easier, but I would notice over time I couldn't maintain it. Sooner or later, it seemed like most of those habits I tried to break this way would be creeping right back up into my old ways, and I'd be right back at it. So sometimes it is better to make a hard break, especially when the habit is really bad for us or there simply isn't any other way. Each of us do have these devices that sometimes we just need to be done with them, right? So for me, that cold turkey item was Diet Dr. Pepper. I knew it wasn't good for me, but it was a habit I had struggled for a very long time to give up. And one day I thought, I've just made this decision, it's time. Okay, I can't fight this anymore. That wasn't easy, and it wasn't something that I was even good at for a while, but gradually each day got easier of switching the Diet Dr. Pepper to water and starting to actually look forward to having water instead, so that one day Diet Dr. Pepper just wasn't my habit anymore. Now I think in these situations where we need to make that hard breakup, it is best to go into it with a solid decision that it is time, and more importantly that you're going to have grace with yourself when you slip, because not every day is going to be easy doing this. Okay, that's super important. The other thing that I learned in that situation is to not make it feel like a loss. I think very often we look at things and feel negative about the change that it results in, even when we know it's good for us. Right now, it feels hard and challenging, and we don't feel our best with it, right? So because those old habits are trying to lure us back in, and those are familiar to us and what we did every day, right? So the other way that I've tried to change habits is by taking a more baby step or gradual approach to it. But here too, I did run into some challenges keeping them going. It seemed really easy to revert backwards without that stringent enforcement and some boundaries. Now, it was, however, easier to give myself forgiveness there when I did slip into comfortable old habits, right? Because that's easier that way. The approach worked well when I was cutting down on sweets and slowly realizing it was going to take me some time to make that breakup. I knew I could use this build control approach and work on my own mindset of making choices that work towards my goal, okay? What I learned in this experience was that This didn't work too well for me because if I didn't give myself enough choices or I felt stressed, I would usually, and without recourse, resort right back to those sweets. Now, if you have strong willpower, maybe this is an ideal method for you, but I learned I really need to work hard on that part of it and constantly remind myself of the gradual process that I'm going through. So ultimately, I wanted to find a way that worked for me and was that balance between that hard line, cutting something out, dead stop, and having baby steps. What I found is that when I took a more positive approach to change and didn't make it feel like a punishment, I felt more motivated to find ways to build new habits. And I had enough structure to support sticking to it. That was super important to me. What I ended up doing was a method called habit stacking. Okay, have you heard of this before? This is where I intentionally looked at different habits and routine I have every day. And I found ways to include a healthy add-on in that process. For example, when I'm waiting for my first cup of coffee to brew in the morning, I do about 25 to 30 squats first thing in the morning. It seems crazy, right? But that worked for me. So when I'm in a meeting and I don't need to talk or say a whole lot, I will stand up and pace around my office or even do some push-ups, right? Because I can still listen and do what I need to do, but I can sneak in that little bit of exercise. So these little add-ons have helped me build in more consistent exercise to my day and not wait till the end of the day when I'm usually ready to tell myself I've had enough and I don't want to do any movement at that point. Instead, I'm fitting it in more in during my day, and what I found is by the time my day does end at work, I have some energy left, right? I want to do a little bit more, and I recognize my body's need to move. The other way this works is that I'm not immediately changing my existing routines or habits, but I'm adding on some new things that promote me feeling good, right? Or that what I would normally do and give and say is that it does give me some fresh energy. So by doing squats while I'm waiting on my morning coffee, for instance, I have found I drink less coffee. Maybe this is because I know the next time I go to refill my coffee, I got to do some more squats. Or maybe it's because I found that I no longer need as much of that caffeine in my day, right? So when we look at including positive add-ons to our habits and routines, we gradually find more things that we can replace with what we once did. We start setting up new routines that leave us feeling more energetic, interested, and even healthier. Now, it doesn't have to feel dreaded or punishing either, because we're not interrupting what we would normally be doing. It's almost like a little mind trick. Yet over time, we find that we start, adding in these things and we're feeling better and we want more of that, so that old habit quietly slips away from our norm. This, I personally believe, leaves us feeling more willing to take on our changes that we need to have happen and not feel defeated when we can't maintain them. I also believe this is what makes feeling more natural about change possible, right? And not feeling like it's a punishment. So I want you to subscribe to this channel so you can keep up with all the Tune In Tuesday video logs, and leave your comments below about what you're doing to help change your habits this year. Okay? Until next time, mwah.